Welcome to Facing the Middle East, our program that places news in context. It's the place where you want to meet the people you want to know. The holiday season is here. December marks the end of the year, and we dedicate this program to gratitude, giving, and prayer. Imagine what a single day of prayer can do. One moment of truth can shift your perspective. 1 second can change someone's life. On today's edition, we speak with Mike Evans, founder of the Friends of Zion Heritage Center, about the largest U.S. Christian delegation to visit Israel. These visitors will be training to serve as ambassadors for Israel and the United States. We take a closer look at the dynamics behind this historic trip. The war between Israel and Hamas left many gaps. For MK Tatiana Mazarsky, one of them was prayer inside the Knesset, the parliament. She created the annual event that brings Jews and Christians together to recognize their shared roots. U.S. Ambassador to Israel Mike Huckabee, along with other politicians and dignitaries, speaks to the media line about the role of prayer in times of crisis. Holiday time is a season defined by family and food. Sad to say, 40% of all food produced in Israel, worth $57 billion, was thrown away over the past decade. Imagine if that food could be saved and redirected to families in need. Joseph Gitler, founder of Leket, the National Food Bank, and the country's leading food rescue organization, will speak about food waste and what needs to be done to help those in need. But first, this is on my mind. We are living in an age of supercharged change. Communication is shifting, technology is advancing beyond our dreams, and the way we work and live is starting to resemble a futuristic film. It's hard to envision how AI, robotics, digital currencies, and newer innovations will shape our daily lives. Even so, we cannot lose sight of life's simplest joys. I remember playing in my backyard as a child, as so many generations did before me. Phones and tablets have replaced those grounding moments that connect us to the world around us. We need to embrace advancements that improve humanity and question the ones that create chaos or weaken our societies. The holiday season is a time to thank God for the miracles our ancestors witnessed and to search for new miracles in a world undergoing transformation. We need to stay rooted in kindness and be grateful for the values and teachings that continue to guide us. May this season remind us not to lose ourselves in a modernized universe, but to find balance and to use that balance for the good of all. And so we begin this program with a day of prayer. Israel has come off an 8-front war, and it's still battling on different fronts. To many, it's about prayer for the state of Israel.
It is the spiritual relationship that our countries share. Without the foundation of Judaism, there would be no Christianity. Without Christianity and Judaism, there would be no America. U.S. Ambassador to Israel Mike Huckabee summed up what links many Jews and Christians who showed up for a morning of gratitude and prayer. There would be no Western civilization. We never can forget the spiritual basis and the spiritual partnership that is vital to both countries. Here, member of Knesset Tatiana Mazarsky initiated this event where Jews and Christians can come together and they can pray for the peace of Jerusalem and for the unity of the state of Israel.
I believe in the power of prayer. This is the third year that we are doing a special event to pray together, Jews and Christians, for the peace of Jerusalem. We want to strengthen the Jewish people, to stand up against the enemy, against a radical world that denies the existence of the Jewish state. The war is not over, and the enemy does not give up on its goals. Many are injured in body, injured in the soul. It is more than 30,000. No area in the state of Israel was not damaged by missiles. The fighters are under stress, and we need the support.
The chamber in the Knesset was filled with leading Christians, Israeli politicians, and Jewish representatives, as well as a large contingent from the National Association of Christian Legislators. Pastor Greg Locke, a conservative preacher from Nashville, stands by the Jewish state and has faced opposition for his positions on Israel.
I expect it, because the Bible says that there's going to come a time when everybody begins to turn on Israel, and you're going to find out who really is courageous in those days. And so although we faced a lot of hate for various political and religious stands, the stand for the Jewish people has been the most vitriolic we've ever experienced. I think just because of the ignorance a lot in the media and social media especially, and so people just automatically assume that Israel has committed a genocide, they're starving everybody, and so people get on TikTok or Instagram or Snapchat or whatever it is, and they automatically think, well, those people know exactly what they're talking about, but there's so much fake out there that people don't understand the real.
Locke has returned to Israel multiple times since the war broke out.
We've been 16 times in 18 months, and really all since the war broke out. And everybody's like, that's the worst time to go. And I said, no, it's the best time to go, because I just began to feel this drawing from the Lord. And so I knew this was the place I needed to be, because it's the only geographic spot on the planet that God says to specifically pray for. Preach in churches. I work with the Orthodox Jews on the Red Heifer program and a lot of various things. I travel with a lot of rabbis, which is strange for a pastor and rabbis to be such dear friends.
A key voice at the prayer event was Hanania Naftali, who serves as a digital aide to Prime Minister Netanyahu, who spoke with the media line on the sidelines about the extent of hate against Israel and how he became vocal.
I used to be a very shy person, but as soon as I joined the military and I realized that what's going on around us, that there are people that are misinformed, that there are people that want to spread more hatred against Israel, so I realized that we don't have the luxury of being silent. So the way that we can fight this modern-day anti-Semitism that comes in the disguise of anti-Zionism is to speak up. We are no longer weak people that need to, fight for a seat at the table. We have a voice, and we should use it. We don't need to apologize for existing in our ancestral homeland.
I asked Naftali, what is the solution?
I have to say, Elon Musk just came up with the brilliant move to actually reveal where accounts are tweeting from or posting from. And guess what? We discovered a lot of accounts that pretended to be, like, for example, Republicans against Trump or other other accounts, that all of a sudden we discovered that they're tweeting or posting from Bangladesh, from Nigeria, from South Asia, and they're all but Americans. So, but that's the good case scenario. The worst case scenarios are bots, foreign bots that are being used against Israel. There was a study that found that a lot of them are actually in the direct order of Russia and China.
What lessons have been learned from this war, particularly in terms of streamlining messages?
In regards to coordination between all the offices, that's something that we always need to make sure. I'm speaking as a civilian who defends Israel in the media. I think that that's something that needs to improve, of course, because at the end of the day, there are a lot of people that want to do good, but they don't know where to take who to use as their source. But we also need to understand and keep in mind that we are in the business of telling truth. And sometimes it takes time to get the truth out.
The Foreign Ministry's Deputy Minister Sharon Haskell, who addressed the Day of Prayer, spoke to the media line about the Muslim Brotherhood being designated a terrorist organization.
Hamas is the Muslim Brotherhood. They've been banned. Its leadership have spewed it, trying to deny the 7th of October, victim-blaming women and men who were tortured and raped by the hands of Hamas. I mean, this is just unimaginable that this is allowed to be spread in America of today as well. It's a serious threat. If that has torn off the mask of the danger, the real danger all around the world by those by those terrorist organizations and their goal, then I believe that in years from now, we will be living in a better place, a more stable, a more peaceful, a more tolerate We truly had incredible miracles. And I think that those prayers gatherings here in Israel and all around the world, it really strengthened us.
The man who has held prayer breakfasts around the world helped coordinate the Day of Prayer.
I think it is a very significant initiative from Knesset member Tatiana Mazarsky. And it was very remarkable that we had the National Association of the Christian Lawmakers, 15 of them different legislators from United States level, and also 2 princes from Belgium who were from the family that hid hundreds of Jewish children during the Second World War.
The theme is prayer. And sometimes people have lost hope in prayer. The numbers for prayer, when you look at the polls, isn't up there, God. So my question is, what is your message to those that have lost their sense of prayer?
Well, prayer always works. And you can also see it through the testimonies of our hostages that were in tunnels. I remember in particular the man who said how he was talking to a crack in the ceiling. And then he was taken to another place, he was talking to a lamp in the ceiling. But then he was taken to the pitch black tunnels. And then he started talking to God. And he said the moment he started talking to God, things became better for him.
From the Knesset, Felice Friedson reporting for the Media Line.
News needs trained journalists. The Media Line, the first American nonprofit news agency covering the Middle East, has mentored scores of students from prestigious American universities and around the globe. We are one of the best kept secrets. Universities are partners. Students receive credit. In order to bring you trusted news, we need support for our future journalists. Please make your tax-deductible gift today. Go to themedialine.org.
Up next, we explore what's behind the effort to bring 1,000 Christian pastors and influencers to the Holy Land. I'm with Mike Evans, the founder of the Friends of Zion Heritage Center, and 1,000 pastors in Israel is a remarkable achievement, but most people can't quite understand, Mike, what goes behind pulling something like this off, and what made you think of it?
Well, number one, Israel's fighting an ideological war, and demons don't clear customs. And an ideological war is the big dilemma. Example, the majority of Hamas is attacking Israel through an ideology. It's a radical Islamic ideology where we have to fight an ideological war. And the Israelis are a small population. It's 0.12% of the world population, which means 12 Israelis for every 10,000 people. We are 9.7% of the world population. They need our help.
The dynamics of something like this, just to look behind the scenes, moving dozens of buses, getting people here. Talk a little bit about the logistics.
Well, number one, we have over 1,000. We have around 1,070 major handpicked evangelical pastors. We have over 200 connected to Donald Trump in the White House. These are the media people. These are the social media people. They influence tens of millions of people. And this is the first time in Israel's history it's ever happened. By the way, they're not coming on a tour. They're coming to become official ambassadors for the state of Israel to combat anti-Semitism and reach the youth of our generation.
Let's talk about that for a moment. This has been one of the biggest problems, the eighth front of the war between Israel and Hamas. It is about the media. Now, there are different parts to the media, one being social media, which has really played a vital role. What do you envision these pastors will do? I mean, some of them speak and preach to their churches. Some of them are on YouTube and have other platforms.
The pulpit has to become much louder than the propaganda. If you just take the New York Stock Exchange, 1/3 of the New York Stock Exchange is controlled by Gulf Arab states. Trillions and trillions of dollars. Well, the new wars are economic wars, they're ideological wars, they're media wars, and they're proxy wars. So we have to fight and wage this war in a way that we can win it.
Well, let's explain that. How can we win it? What does that mean when you say in a way we can win it?
Well, you now have a new devil in town. The new devil in town is called AI. And right now, billions and tens of billions of dollars is being invested in AI to try to poison the minds of the young people of America and the world. How do they do it? They use bots. If a young person says anything positive about Israel, they'll get dozens and dozens of negative comments. And if they say anything negative, they'll get dozens and dozens of positive comments. We have to counter that with a massive ideological campaign. We know how to do it effectively. I've been in journalism for over half a century in the Middle East. This is my expertise, and we can do it and succeed.
How did you break up the group that's coming? I mean, did you go geographically? Did you go by size of church? Was there anything that influenced that decision?
We vetted these people. We have more than 1,000 that we didn't accept, because everyone has to come with a pure motive, and they have to understand the need. Listen, if you just take the Holocaust, how many people were killed in the Holocaust? Over 70 million. 1/3 of the Jewish world, 6 million Jews were killed. But here's something most people don't know. 6 million Christians were also killed. So the ones that hate the Jews also hate the Christians just as much. The ideology of radical Islam is to eradicate both groups out of existence. And so that's why 9/11 happened, because it was an attack upon America by radical Islam. Israel is the only firewall that can stop it.
I think we need to take a look at Judeo-Christian values and Judeo-Christian relationships. And it's changing, but it's taking a long time to break down those barriers and to trust one another. What feeds this?
Well, I think it's there now. I began with Menachem Begin. At that time, there was a lot of suspicion, but now they realize that these evangelicals are in fact their friends. Everything that happened under Donald Trump's first term for Israel happened because of evangelicals. And they know that. The state of Israel knows that. And we believe we can accomplish more on the second term. They're friends of Zion. They're Israel's greatest friends. And oh, by the way, most of the Zionists in the world are not Jewish. They're evangelical Bible believers.
And that's a good point, Mike. I think that it goes back to what you said in the beginning about the numbers of Jews that exist in the world. When you look at the stats, it really is one of the smallest number in any religion or any sect. Herein lies the issue. You have many others that are out there. You have Christians that are not evangelical. You have many Muslims that are confused by what has happened in the world today between Shia and Sunni. Just look at the wars that go on in the region. How do you reach out beyond the Judeo-Christian groups?
Well, number one, you have to understand perception is reality, not truth. It's not truth, it's reality. So if you're going to create the perception, you take 1,000 evangelical leaders. This is not a tour to Israel. This is a high-level briefing to commission these evangelical pastors to be partners with the state of Israel to achieve its ultimate objective.
Looking 5 years from now, because it's all about forecasting, what do you hope will be accomplished here? What will social media look like? And it's going to morph into other things too.
Well, we're not ending with 1,000. We're going to initiate a massive campaign to reach 1 million pastors globally next year, 2026, through social media, a massive online university, and the 1 million churches to teach a biblical worldview, where you understand biblically that the Jewish people have a right to this land. It's a biblical right. It's a historical right. It's a legal right. So we're not ending with 1,000. We're going after 1 million, utilizing the most advanced technology and social media, mobilizing them all over the globe.
Do you trust your news sources? Are you tired of one-sided reporting? You need to know the Media Line to know the Middle East.
The world needs news you can trust.
The Media Line is the first independent, non-profit American news agency covering the Middle East. It's the best-kept secret in the news business. Support the trusted Mideast news source today by going to themedialine.org.
And now, we turn to Leket founder Joseph Gitler for insights into Israel's food waste crisis and what can be done to change it. Israel is known as the startup nation, and it is innovative in so many areas. But when it comes to food and the security of food, there are deep problems. Joining me is Joseph Gitler, who heads the National Food Bank of Israel, Leket. How did you get to a point after all these years of trying to save food that in 2024 there wasn't a huge amount, 40% of all of Israel's food goes to waste?
Thanks for having me on, Felice. This is not uniquely an Israeli problem, which I don't know if I'm happy to say that or unhappy to say that this is a worldwide issue in the West. I wish we were better than everyone, but we aren't. There's some cultural reasons. People want to show abundance. Um, we call it the land of milk and honey. So we want to show that that's the truth. And that's an accomplishment for a country that until 30 years ago was a lower middle class country. And so the possibilities of even having food to waste is something relatively new to this country. That doesn't excuse behavior. And I am certainly very concerned by the amount of food waste that happens in this country. I'm thankful that Leket is fighting it and is rescuing that food to feed the poor. But I think there's a better middle ground that we could find where there's less waste, but also enough food left over that we can also take care of those in need.
Joseph, let's just break it down a little. There was over 400,000 families, right, that did not have access to the appropriate kind of food as well. So when you're looking at food waste, you're also looking at the fact there are a lot of people that are in need too, that are not getting their daily amount of appropriate food is probably the best way to put it, nutritional food.
That's correct, especially in a Western country like Israel, which has the right food mix to feed its entire population properly. We don't need to feed junk to those in need. So it's a real scandal when healthy, safe, nutritious fruits and vegetables and cooked meals just end up in landfills when they could take care of the poor. And as we all know, highly processed foods, which are generally less healthy, just because of amazing gains in productivity, are often cheaper than the foods they're made from, which is, it's hard to get your head around it. Sometimes it's something that can go through processing should be cheaper than the actual thing that goes into it. But that is the case worldwide. And so we have focused our energies over the years solely on healthy, nutritious food because that's what's needed. And with the limited dollars we have to run our operation, we want to make sure to get the most bang for the buck nutritionally and, of course, efficiently as well.
The viewers need to understand when we talk about that abundance of waste, what does that mean? Restaurants throwing out food, individuals, which we do, waste food every single week, things rot, you overbuy. There are many things that go into this. Can you try to dissect that for the population?
Yeah. So first of all, it's everywhere along the chain, from growers to manufacturers to catering to retail and to the home. So let's reverse that. The home is where they claim, the experts, 50% of food waste happens in the home.
It's a very important organization, and my hat's off to you, especially this holiday season. But let's bring in the government. They've failed at this. I mean, it's year after year where there just aren't laws that are imposed that are not facilitating what they should be in terms of policy. What is on the horizon?
First, I'll compliment the government on a few laws that have been passed. We, together with the government, did pass two laws. One protects food donors from legal liability, and a new one that we passed a year and a half ago, which requires government entities to make best efforts to donate their excess food. And we've seen a big uptick from government entities in Israel donating food. So that's something. Let's give them. It's hard, no one ever wants to say anything nice about the government, but let's give them something.
The Minister of Environment just came in and said not enough is being done, and she
Oh,
was
I
adamant.
I agree. So we need carrots and we need sticks. I'll give some examples. So, let's take retailers. Okay. So there are different methods. You can do the stick method, which is if retailers don't make best efforts to donate their excess food and they have massive amounts of excess food, the difficult part at retailers, it's store by store, as opposed to going to one farmer, right? And that's why we haven't focused on that with our energies and our organization. But if there's a stick, and the stick could be, if you don't make best efforts, we will fine you, okay? And that's when France, for example, has a law like that on the books. We'd like to see things like that, or vice versa. Instead of the stick, the carrot. Give them greater incentives to donate their food, bigger tax breaks.
You touched on something very important that has to do with the price of food, and it has gone up tremendously in Israel. How has the war impacted food prices?
Okay, so not surprisingly, food prices are up. They've come down a bit at the height. Produce, which is our main focus, was up about 30%. So that's come down dramatically, but not completely. It's always hard to get rid of price increases completely. Here it's complicated because we, at the end of the day, have to remember the Jewish people, the state of Israel, we have a history like no others, unfortunately. And so we really do have to take into account, in ways I think other countries don't, our nutritional security. So it may mean that we're always going to pay a little extra for things. We're never going to be Berlin, and we're never going to be the US. It's always going to be more expensive here. And that's because we're a small country. We're a small country that is always has to be, especially now after what we've been through the last 2 years. We always have to have a bit of a fear of the world turning on us. And the world could turn on us, and suddenly we could have real nutritional issues in this country. So we need to be nutritionally independent on the one hand, but somehow relatively affordable on the other.
The holiday season is a time when people, and the Sabbath is a time when people spend a lot of money on food. So many families might say a good chunk of their salary goes to spending on their family for a Sabbath meal. And I've heard that many a times. Much has to be wasted. And if you had to point to one thing that an individual can do to help feed someone else, what would that be?
One way is volunteering for Leket. That puts food on people's tables. Supporting Leket is another way of putting food. And I would say a third, and this goes to the home. Okay. You can find, I know in my own house, on Sundays, we have one or two people in the community where I live who we know need help. They know us, they trust our food. And so we've made it our business. Sure, my kids will eat leftovers for one or two meals. And at the same time, we know, okay, what do we need for the leftovers in our own home? So if you are going to overproduce in your house and overspend in your house, please don't let it go to waste. Share it with friends, share it with neighbors. Most important, share it with those who need it.
Joseph Gitler, I wish you a lot of success in helping to feed Israel's not just poor, but also just helping to feed those that aren't getting enough nutrition too. And praying that there'll be less waste, I think, around the world is a good thing to look forward to and strive for this holiday season.
Thank you so much for the opportunity, and wishing everyone happy holidays.
Thank you for joining this edition of Facing the Middle East, where we unlock the hidden truths of the world's most contentious region. We encourage you to follow our daily news stories produced by our seasoned journalists throughout the Middle East, and invite you to learn what journalism is truly about. Visit themedialine.org for news you need to know and trust.